Welcome to Turning the Page, a Lexington Public Library podcast. I'm Mariam Adarat.
And I'm Erin West. If you love the library because of books, the programs, and the people behind both, then this is the podcast for you.
And even if you don't, there's still fun to be had. We will bring you the latest book releases that are worth checking out, figuratively and literally.
And we will discuss all of the happenings at the library to look out for.
And of course, what would a library podcast be without a special guest? We will get to know some special authors that are making an impact on our local literary scene.
Whether you're listening to us in your car while washing dishes or snuggled up with a warm drink, we are grateful for your time and hope you enjoy.
Welcome to Turning the Page. Today, we're diving into the vibrant world of graphic novels, a form that blends the visual impact of art with the depth of literature. Graphic novels aren't just comics. They're immersive experiences that invite readers to see and feel a story in ways traditional text alone can't. Through dynamic illustrations, nuanced dialogue, and layered symbolism, they create a unique rhythm of reading, one that engages both the eye and the imagination. Whether it's tackling complex themes like identity, history, and social justice, or simply offering a visually stunning escape, graphic novels add value by making stories more accessible, more emotional, and more memorable. The guest for today is one of our own staff, Bill Widener. Bill has been an LPL Library Associate at Central for 29 years. He also writes and designs the library's 741.5 publication that reviews and promotes new arrivals in the comics collection. Many of our listeners may recognize his voice from WRFL, where he has been a DJ since 1988. Please welcome Bill Widener. Hi, Bill.
Hello, ladies. How are you?
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this podcast with us. We really enjoy having our own staff.
I've been begging for this for months.
We're so glad to have you on here.
Well, anything you want to know? Anything you want to know about 741.5? Anything you want to know about comics?
Yeah.
About the collection?
So tell us a little bit about 741.5. You write the comic review newsletter that we
that's true
for the library. What inspired you to start this newsletter? It's been quite a long while.
Well, the thing is, I have been a comics fan since before I could read.
Oh, wow.
And I got deep into it as a child. I had my own, most kids wanted to be the Amazing Spider-Man. I wanted to be the guy that wrote the Amazing Spider-Man. So I was like a little imitation Stanley. I had my own comic book company and their crossovers and all the kind of stuff like that. So, that was when I was about 8 years old. So it's just going on from then. When I started working at the library, the comics collection was spotty because there wasn't somebody in charge of it. There wasn't someone with the background, and I would try to kibitz and give my own 2 cents, and sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't. So eventually, around 2014 is when somebody said, "Hey, doesn't Bill know a lot about comic books? Shouldn't we be ordering more of these things?" And I was like, "Yeah." So get this: they originally gave me a budget of $1,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I went through that in like a month, I think.
$1,000 in the book world is not much.
I know. And it's just like after that, they just said, okay, just whatever. Just hand in the orders and we'll get whatever we can. And that went on for about 2 years. And I don't know why I didn't think about the newsletter to begin with because, I was kind of frustrated because the information was getting out there that we were getting in all this new stuff, that we were getting in series that actually followed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was one of the problems we'd have. We'd have chapter 3 of something and not chapter 2 and chapter 4. Yeah. So it'd be frustrating for the customers. So that's one hole that I filled was that I started getting series a lot more. And one day I would the way I would make my orders would be I would put together a physical order that every page had the cover of the book and description of it and all the order information. And when I gave these orders in, I would just for kicks have an illustration on the cover.
Yeah.
Because it was fun. Okay, this is this is what's coming out this month. Here's a picture of Supergirl, or here's a picture of Snoopy, or here's a picture of a zombie chewing somebody's face off. So there came a book about an old dude from way back in the day called Fletcher Hanks.
And so you designed the cover.
Yeah, I designed the cover, and I was looking at this right here, and I said, God, if only more people could see how awesome this is. And then suddenly the little light bulb just went bing above my head, and I went, ah. And, at the time, a couple of my tasks had basically been discontinued, like the IRS. I used to order the tax forms. No such thing anymore. So I had more time on my hands to do this. So it started out as a monthly publication, and then a couple of years ago, right around the time COVID hit, I realized we were getting in so much stuff that I could easily do it bi-weekly.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty much bi-weekly for the last couple of years. So we just reached issue 150.
That's amazing. 150
week.
issues. Wow.
Yeah, that's like 600 pages of material I produced in the last several years.
Wow. And these are just reviews of upcoming releases. And
exactly.
So explain a little bit, what does 741.5 mean to our listeners?
That is the Dewey Decimal System classification for books concerning comics and cartooning.
All right.
It's as simple as that. And I looked high and low. I said, surely someone's used this as a title before, and they had. And I thought, it's so obvious. It's so obvious. So, I've been doing it since 2016. The very first one came out in January 2016, and it's been going since.
So how do you choose what goes into your newsletter? What do you choose? Just whatever catches your fancy? Basically,
yes. But I also try to push things that I know are going to be getting heat out in the wilder world, Well, there's no real good example. The fact is the comics biz has become so variegated that there are so many different kinds of comics now that it's hard to say that one kind or another is actually dominant.
And there's even subgenres within that realm,
within
so many different,
And, you've got, for instance, on top of manga becoming such a huge thing over the last 10 or 15 years, there's the Korean version that started to make inroads.
Wow.
And they're a lot slicker. They use color a lot more. Tend not to be quite so cartoonish as the Japanese comics because they have different influences. It's like Osamu Tezuka, the god of comics, as he was called, in Japan, was very influenced by Disney, so that really imprinted itself on Japanese comics. That's why everybody's got the big eyes.
Yeah.
The same way that in American comics, you've got people like Jack Kirby, whose work has been so iconic that even today, after decades of reaction and resistance to that attitude, it still dominates. You still got your big, blocky, cosmic heroes.
Yeah. The whole comic book and graphic novel world has sort of asserted itself as a place on library shelves. How do you think libraries play a role in kind of disseminating the publications? Is there a place for libraries to help kind of reach more and bigger audience?
Here's the sad fact of the matter. If it wasn't for libraries, easily 3/5, 4/5 of what comes out now would not be in front of the people because comic shops do not carry certain things. Comic shops are very, very focused on superhero comics and fantasy comics, and they might dabble in some indies, but it's pretty much, does it have a Funko Pop?
Yeah.
That's what they're pushing. They're pushing the Funko Pop comics.
Yeah.
And you can order the stuff, but then you got to know what you want to order. How are you going to know what you want to order? And the fact is, in the regular magazines like the New Yorker or Publishers Weekly or things like that, you have more and more reviews of comics, but not like when walking into a library, and especially one like ours that has somebody like me in charge that knows this stuff and brings it in. Are you going to find books about growing up in communist China and being taken out of your city and sent out into the countryside as part of a social engineering outfit? We've got books like that. We've got all kinds of biographies. We've got all kinds of histories. We could do an entire section just on the Middle East alone of comics devoted to the history of the Middle East.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's very big. It's become a way of making political commentary or satire completely different.
Because the editorial cartoons are dying in the newspapers because the newspapers are dying because of their stupid mistakes. Comics have broken out of what they call, somewhat pejoratively, the floppies, which is the weekly titles, the monthly titles that come out. I myself have given up on them. I used to have a $125 a month habit myself.
Wow.
And the industry finally just made me so mad I walked away. There was just too many things going on with the big two, with Marvel and DC, that I was fed up and I stopped doing it. I'll still occasionally buy things from the independent publishers, but again, where do I find it? I have to go out of town usually.
Yeah.
I got to go to Columbus. I got to go Cincy.
Yeah, the big cities that kind of get it. And it is harder for libraries, of course, because we are constrained with space. While, graphic novels tend to be like huge series, we can get like sampling.
Yeah.
We can't necessarily get every single thing, every single issue.
The manga series are up into 28,
exactly.
Episode 32.
So it can be a little bit difficult, but it is helpful to have a few issues in order to get people a little taste of what that series can
one of the
give.
problems is that the regular comics industry has become so addicted to big events and reboots, and they keep restarting their series over and over and over again because they know that the only numbers that sell are number ones.
Yes, and
it's become this self-perpetuating logic that, for one thing, leaves a lot of readers behind. They always promote these new series starting off. This is a jumping on point because you won't care about what happened before because we no longer care about what happened before.
We're starting over.
Exactly. 50 years of history wiped away. It's like, but then why do I care now? Yeah. And it's like one of my cartoonist friend Ken Minter said, "Yeah, that's what I call a jumping off point." So the thing about you can come to the library. You don't have to invest the money that it costs to buy comics now because they are expensive, and you can walk out with a stack up to here of brand new stuff and great old stuff. And that's the thing. I try to maintain within the collection both a nice chunk of historical works and the new stuff. And I try
to good balance.
Yeah, bring in the superhero comics because people still love those. I still love those. And also bring in the independent stuff that has nothing whatsoever to do with that,
Do you think that graphic novels make reading more accessible for certain people, or if so, how?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
It depends on the comic that you pick up. One of the criticisms I've had about DC comics lately is that they are so talky. You think that these guys are getting paid by the word, and they're not.
A lot of verbiage.
It's just prolix. And we had somebody actually turn in a Supergirl comic and said this was too complicated for me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, a Supergirl comic, okay? And said that right there. But the thing is, it depends on the kind of comics you get. One of the reasons that Japanese comics have become so popular is that they are very simple to get into. You don't need to have this rabbinical knowledge of the background of the characters or anything. Yeah. And I also believe, and this is my own personal opinion, that one of the reasons that manga gets over with the kids is because they are written the way a kid thinks. It's just one event piled on top of another. And then they did this, and then everybody grew wings, and they went flying off to the Forbidden Island. And then once they went to the Forbidden Island, the king of all the mermaids came out of the volcano. It's the storytelling is a lot like that. Yeah. As opposed to this quote mainstream comics, which feel so constrained by this strange adult attitude that really isn't an adult attitude because we're still talking about people who dress up as bats.
I think in some ways, though, it does kind of help those young kids get into reading.
Oh, yeah.
Because it adds to that creative element during that reading experience.
Well, you've got the picture and the words. And that's the thing. Some people can't read comics because they don't know that you have to look at them together.
Yes.
See, they read the words and they don't really pay attention to the picture, or they read the picture and they don't really pay attention to the words. Now, a lot of cartoonists would argue that the latter is the one that's important. As long as you're following the pictures, you're doing all right.
Yeah.
The words are basically just gravy to a lot of cartoonists.
Yeah.
So,
what are some misconceptions about comic books and graphic novels that
everybody wears a cape? I mean, we're like, 30 years down the road from Watchmen and other things. And every time you see an article about comics and mainstream media, it's still Pal Zam, comics aren't for kids anymore. Well, they haven't been for kids since the 70s, dude.
Yes. Yes.
That's the fact of the matter right there.
Yeah. And there's so many now that are just even pushed into that literary fiction realm.
Oh, absolutely.
So there's all kinds of graphic novels and comic books that I think can reach multiple audiences. I think that's the main misconception that I see.
I mean, check this out. This has been one of my favorite. waiting to use this gag for years. Stone Cold Jane Austen is the headline of issue number 144, and that is dedicated to the novel life of Jane Austen, a graphic biography by a well-known Jane Austen expert, and Isabel Greenberg, who is a very interesting cartoonist. She has a very scritchy, feminine style, and she writes a lot about English writers like the Brontes and the like.
Do you have like a favorite or a personal recommendation for our listeners?
I'm a big fan of the EC comics of the 1950s. They are still held up as a standard that few have reached. They were genre comics. They were famous for their horror comics. Anybody who's watched an episode of Tales from the Crypt, that's where that comes from. Weird Science, that was one of their comics. And the thing is that they were doing genre comics, but at the same time, they wanted to do the best that they could. So the artwork is amazing. It's like a mid-century illustration at its best. Some people may have some trouble with the stories because the influences are, well, one of them is moribund and the other ain't looking too healthy, and that's radio drama and the short story. They're all short stories, and they all have the influence of radio drama. So there's a lot of text involved. It's a lot of narration, but that's one of the things that helps you get into it. And they're gruesome. They're just so gleefully gruesome. I was a big fan of the modern cartoonist Darwin Cook, who was taken from us far, far too soon, in his adaptation of Richard Stark's Parker novels, which are hard-boiled novels about a thief. And he did about 4 of them, and they are just among the most perfect comic books that you can find. It's like you could build an entire course around just these 4 books alone. There's just so much stuff coming out.
So if somebody is trying to get into graphic novels or interested in starting out reading them, where do you think is a good starting off point?
How old are you, and what are you into besides?
Let's say a 48-year-old Middle Eastern woman.
Well, in that case, I wish I had Craig Thompson, who is one of the big independent cartoonists, and for good reason, because he draws like a dream. He was known for his autobiographical book, Blankets, which was recently re-released in a new edition. His new book, Ginseng Roots, is absolutely astounding. I mean, it's done in 2 colors. The artwork is incredible in its detail, in the way that he uses a page. He does not use traditional panels. Everything blends into each other.
Mm-hmm. So it's not with that square panel.
It's not like panel. It's more like pictures swirl into each other. The way that when you speak to someone, each sentence melds into another. That's the way that these pictures work. He talks about his childhood picking ginseng with his siblings and his family. He talks about the industry, the history of the industry. He talks about its impact on the Midwest, because one of the few places in America that grows ginseng is Wisconsin. So it's had a big impact up there. There is an extended discursion into the history of the Hmong people, who were people who lived in the highlands of Vietnam, who fought on the side of the Americans, and that didn't go too well for them. So a lot of them had to pack up and come over here. Half of them ended up in Texas, and the other half ended up in Minnesota because of the ginseng industry. Yeah. So there's a big discussion about that. And there's a discussion about his place as an artist, because he goes over to China as part of a ginseng tour, and he talks about how he feels uncomfortable about being the subject instead of the observer, which I thought was fascinating. That's another thing that artists have to deal with, especially when they hit it big. It's like, I'm not the guy I'm the guy who's being watched. Yes. Most of them aren't used to that.
Yeah, because normally they are the observers, and
because I mean, seriously, if he doesn't win like a stack of awards for this book, this industry just needs to go home.
Well, that sounds intriguing. I'll have to look into that one.
Definitely.
Yeah. What are some of the emerging trends in graphic novel world that makes you excited and want to keep doing this, keep reviewing this?
Well, the interesting thing is the revolt against slickness. Notice this I also do a zine about comics called Comics Funny, so I'm involved with the zine scene again. And a big thing among the zine scene are this little machine called risographs. And a lot of cartoonists started using those to self-publish as well. And the thing is, these machines give you that rough, blurry quality that old school xerography used to have. So these kids are having to invent a machine to make things look as crappy as they naturally did back in the day. Back when I was starting out doing zines, we were all like, oh, this looks like garbage. And now these kids are bending over backwards to make things look like what we were complaining about, right? So there's that. You can also do lots of other things with the risograph. You can do like multiplanar coloring, things like that. So a lot of people are experimenting with the use of color. The problem is there's nowhere to sell these things. So no one's making a living at this.
There's no publishing industry.
Basically, unless you get a hookup with Fantagraphics or Drawn and Quarterly or Top Shelf or one of the other big indie, big quote unquote indie publishers, you're putting it out yourself.
Yeah.
And there's no distribution network for independent work anymore. There used to be. There isn't now. That's one of the big things that people have been trying to work on for the past 10 years. Is trying to set up a network.
Many of our listeners will kind of recognize your voice, of course, if they are listeners of WRFL. Tell us a little bit about your work there. You are a DJ. What draws your musical work with your work here as a graphic novel selector for the library? Give us a little bit of parallel about the two jobs. Yes.
I started off at RFL as we've got two kinds of programs that we do, and there's the general format show, which is supposed to be like a Whitman sampler box of chocolates, where you've got the coconut and the maple creams and everything else. And then there's the block show, which is where you got nothing but coconut. Right? And and a block show can be something as simple as it's the country music show or it's the bluegrass show. Mine was more theoretical in nature. It was the underground show, and it was kind of, there weren't any hard and fast rules. I basically determined what worked on that show according to the amount of drone, pummel, and muzz were the three things that I was looking for, Back then, it's a notoriously crazy show. A lot of people loved it for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Stockholm Syndrome, maybe. I don't know what to tell you. But that lasted for a good long time. Then I got tired of being the king of Monster Island, and I had my Ric Flair retirement, I call it. I was off the air for about 2.5 minutes, and then I came back with the Uncle Bill Show, which was a general format show. And that's where I could play Zinni Geva and Rudy Valley if I wanted to. And I did play Zinni Geva and Rudy Valley together.
Wow.
One thing I realized working that show is how well that doom metal and Western swing go together, for instance.
Oh.
Yeah, it's true. You put them together and they just, I don't know, something about it just works so well. And did the Uncle Bill Show for quite a while. And then I kind of ran out of juice and retired again in 2015. I was back 3 years later. Now I'm tag teaming with cousin John Clark, who has been deeply involved with the station for a long, long time, nearly as long as I have. And he's kind of the grown-up in the crew. I always say that he's the teacher and I'm the preacher. He's very slick, he's very smooth. Whereas I sound like I'm about to start ranting about the end of the world any second now. but my show's a little wilder than his. He does, as we actually had a discussion about this about a year or so ago. We got together on the air and talked about it. And I said, well, you don't have the patricidal rage against our forebears that I do. That's the difference between the two of us. So mine's much more the punk rock show.
Yeah. Do you think what you like in music, you like in graphic novels as well?
I like something with some oomph.
Yeah.
I do like a man in a hat. It's like somebody's like, what's this movie you're watching? I said, it's film noir. It's where guys in hats do really mean things to each other.
Oh, yeah.
So there's that. I mean,
there is something about a man in a hat. Have you guys ever seen that picture after the Louvre heist? Somebody caught a picture of a gentleman with like a trench coat and a little a top hat, looked like a detective. It turned out to be some sort of teenager that loved to dress up. Somebody caught. So yeah, there's just an attraction.
It's Inspector Maigret. He's on the scene.
Exactly. It was just too funny. It turned out to be some teenager that just loved to dress up. Anyways, so where do you see graphic novels heading in the next decade? Do you think it'll be more digital or experimental?
might not have a choice. Paper costs just keep going up and up and up and up and up.
Mm-hmm.
As we have experienced in the last year,
Yes.
the distribution business is very iffy.
Yes.
You never know when Diamond Comics Distributors, which used to be the only game in town, they went out of business. Anything having to do with retail or physical media is troubled. And a lot of stuff is starting out online and then becoming physical. Yeah. You know, it's like there used to be the train where you'd come out and, for instance, in manga, you'd come out in those gigantic phone book weeklies, and then eventually a few chapters down the line, you put it together in a book, or and that's what the American business imitated. You put out about 10 issues of this group of Avengers comics, and then you put them together as the Avengers, Battle Royale or whatever. And that has happened with the webtoons. For instance, one of the big webtoons that made it big, Lore Olympus. Have you read that yet? It is a beautifully drawn comic book. I think she uses digital means to draw it. It's very colorful. It is a workplace romance based upon the myth of Persephone. Mm. So it's like Kore, aka Persephone, is a young goddess getting started out in the god biz, and she starts working for Hades, and hijinks ensue. There are other subplots and the like Kronos comes back at some points and starts eating everybody's memories, and that they have to take care of that. But it's basically a workplace romance about the gods, and it just blew up, and it's about 3, maybe 4 volumes into the collection now, and it's on a real slick paper. That's the thing. Let's talk about the risograph stuff. Comics now are done on such a higher medium than they used to be. I mean, they used to be printed on toilet paper, basically, on newsprint. And from the 80s on, things have improved to where...
Yeah. It seems like just from working in, in a collection development standpoint, that graphic novels are... The digital version hasn't taken off as much as your normal traditional novels. So they don't circulate as well. People prefer the actual print. Physical version.
Oh, you mean the online version
of
comics?
Yes. Yeah.
I think people still like to turn the page.
Yeah.
That's still such a part of the format of the medium itself. What I'm afraid of is kids that don't know how to read black and white, the same way that they can't watch black and white movies. And so there's a enormous part of the past that's cut off for them now, like the old comic strips. And of course those were told in dailies, so that the story form is weird for them too, because they've not grown up with that, like I don't know, maybe you have, probably by your youth, the adventure strips had already started to die off. So you may have had a few soap opera strips like Apartment 3G or Mary Worth or still stuck around, but for the most part, the idea of continued tomorrow has kind of passed away. I mean, you have to learn how to read these stories and be able to read them. I know that sounds redundant. It sounds like a tautology, but that's the way it is.
How do you think libraries can continue to support and expand access to this type of work?
Put it out there where people can find it. Ballyhoo it. We've got them pretty much front and center on our by we, I mean Central. Other folks, because of their space constraints, they do what they can, But we have a new section that's on the first floor that you can go to, and anytime it's smack dab right there in the middle of the room. On the second floor, we now redid the teen section, and now there's a teen section over here, and the graphic novels take up the other half of the room.
Yeah.
And it's a big chunk of space now.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it used to be maybe 1 or two shelves over in the nonfiction section, but now if people care, they have their own sections.
And we do our best to, curate.
I know that, yeah.
as much as we can. And then, of course, there's always interlibrary loan that we can kind of maybe share resources with other libraries and such. But we are so lucky to have you on staff to help us curate such a diverse collection of graphic novels and comic books. So I'm really grateful for you.
Oh,
definitely.
I'm a little worried because the clock's ticking. I'm probably going to have to retire here in a couple of years.
No, don't tell us that. La, 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 la. I'm
going to have to train somebody.
I'm pretending that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. We really enjoyed talking with you.
Well, I hope that I said something that was actually useful to the people out there. And, of course, my dream is to start doing one of these dedicated to 741.5. So we'll see what the future brings.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Bill. It's lovely talking to you.
Okay, thank you.
That was a really good conversation with Bill.
Yeah, I'm so glad. Like, I just love having staff that just are really passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
And Bill is one of those people. He's really passionate about graphic novels, and we kind of cultivated that and help us curate our collection. So, and he really enjoys it. So, yeah.
Yeah, we have such a talented staff too. So it's great when we get to highlight their work and what they're up to.
Yeah. All right. So, upcoming books that we are looking forward to. I'll be honest, I have one that I have my eye on. It's coming out in January. I downloaded it to my NetGalley, waiting to read it. So I'll talk about that one today. Of course, January is New Year's. A lot of people have New Year's resolutions and, trying to be more productive, et cetera. So one book that I have in my to-be-read list is called Intentional, The Science of Finishing What You Start, and it's by Chris Bailey. It talks a lot about, you have all these goals and you start these goals, and sometimes it's multiple goals, and sometimes when you do that, it hinders you from actually finishing anything. And so it kind of goes into, the science of why we do that.
Interesting.
And how to overcome it and stuff. So it's kind of right up my alley. I love this kind of work. So, to reach your goals, you kind of have to structure your daily actions around what's important to you, kind of prioritizing what's important to you. So that's one book that I'm looking forward to reading in January. So there's a lot. Of course, January is a very big publishing month.
Yes, it is.
So be on the lookout for what's to come on our website.
Yes, we have our Book River with the new editions that updates anytime something is added. So keep your eye on that, and you'll find something really cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot of books that are coming out. We've got, of course, if you're a fan of Alice Feeney, she's got one coming out in January. So so all the new releases will be on the Book River. Rachel Hawkins also has one coming out. It's called The Storm. I know that one is going to be a big one, and as well as George Saunders, called Vigil. So yes. It's exciting stuff.
I'm watching
for our
you
readers.
scroll the list just to do some highlights, and it is so long. So there's so many things coming out in January.
And of course, Colleen Hoover is a big author,
a big name.
Yes, that one is going to be a doozy. It's called Woman Down, and that one will be out the 13th of January. So, Colleen Hoover fans, get your hold.
Yep,
hold button ready.
Got one coming up.
Yep. So what have you got going on in terms of programs?
We have a lot going on because, of course, December has the school system's winter break. Yep. So there's more things happening during the day. Mm-hmm. Of course, we are closed Christmas Eve, Christmas, and New Year's Day. But in the run-up to that, we have something pretty much every day. So I've tried to pick out a few things to highlight. The first one is the holiday family portrait and holiday cards drop-in photography session.
Nice.
Here at Northside, they've done this for several years now, where you can take a free family photo and then create a holiday card with it.
That's amazing.
And plenty of time to send it out before the holidays, which I never managed to do. So, if you're not a procrastinator, you can come and get that done.
What day is that?
That is Saturday, December 6th from 9:30 to 12. So just any time that works for you that day. Also, there's quite a bit Saturday the 6th. At Central Library, there's a cookie and a craft. At 10 in the morning, you can watch the parade from the windows on Main Street.
That's always a big event at Central.
Yes.
And it's so much fun to see the littles enjoying the parade from out the big atrium windows.
And then for adults, we have Wood Slice Decor at East Side. That's at 2 o'clock on Saturday the 6th. And you can make a wood slice craft. And I have a wood slice from a program years ago, and it's held up really well. So feel free to use it, use it as a coaster. Yeah. It'll hold up.
Maybe even like a tree ornament or something.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Beaumont is doing a crafternoon on Wednesday, December 10th at 3 and Saturday, December 13th at 3. It's the same craft. It's paper poinsettias. And so it's just a small paper version of the popular plant. And that's just a drop in for the hour while supplies last. Cool. One that sounded really fun to me was the family snowman launchers. That's Saturday the 13th at Central in the Kloiber Foundation STEAM Lab. It's at 2 o'clock. And you're going to make a catapult or some other kind of launcher for a snowman ping pong ball. So that's going to be a fun time. If you're an adult who is interested in learning the ukulele, local musician Mick Jeffries is going to be giving a free short lesson, and then you can have fun singing and playing. So instruments will be provided, so don't worry. If you don't have a ukulele already, you can register and still have a good time. Good. That's also Tuesday, December 16th, but from 1 to 2.
Mm-hmm. And that one is at Tate's Creek?
Yes.
All right.
And then one of my favorite things that happens during this season is that we have live music sometimes at the branches. And Beaumont Branch is going to have Trio 21 for some casual holiday music. They're a chamber music group, and they're going to do light classical and modern chamber musical arrangements on the flute, clarinet, and bassoon. Nice. And so that is from 4 to 5 on Tuesday, December 16th. And then Marksberry Family Branch on Sunday, December 21st at 2 o'clock has handmade holidays. So if you are running short of time and need a gift, you can come make one. In the classroom there, it's for all ages. There's holiday photos, vintage tunnel cards, button gift tags, handmade garlands, and printed mugs from the makerspace.
That's
so
very nice.
You can work on all kinds of things and have a really nice handmade gift to give to someone.
Yeah. Those programs are also nice to bring your loved ones with you, friends, to do something together.
Yes. On December 22nd, at Eastside Branch at 2 o'clock, there is a solstice candle making and hot cocoa for teens. So you can make a candle to light the shortest day of the year and share in the hot cocoa bar. So that sounds like a really fun time.
That does sound like fun.
Kind of skipping ahead a little bit in the month, a couple of branches are having what they call Noon Years countdown parties. So for the kiddos, they can come either on Monday, December 29th at 11:30 at Eastside or Wednesday, December 31st at 11:30 at Beaumont to celebrate the ball dropping on the new year at noon instead of midnight. Yes. So you can get your kiddos to bed well in advance of the new year.
And they don't miss out on all the fun.
Yes. It's always a really cute time to watch when you're at a branch. And then finally, Central Library's Kloiber Foundation STEAM Lab again is having an egg drop on Tuesday, December 30th at 3. So you'll design a structure. It's for tweens and teens and kids to keep an egg safe. Mm-hmm. And then they'll drop it from the 5th floor of the library.
Oh, wow.
To see whose egg lived.
Yeah, I remember doing this years ago, and it was so much fun. Yeah.
And that one does require registration, so just make sure you do that ahead of time.
I look forward to that New Year's Eve with my little one.
It'll be so much. She'll have so much fun.
Oh, yes. Definitely can't wait. Yes. Well, I hope everybody's enjoyed this episode. We really enjoyed talking to Bill.
Yes.
And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll hope to have you guys next time. Thank you for tuning in to Turning the Page. If you enjoyed listening, there will be more to come, so please give us a follow so that you don't miss the next episode.
We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts.